Morning dudes, reached a milestone. Blockworks all up to lintel height on the inside, and I didn't film much of it because they're boring really, isn't it? You know, there's not much mysticism around blockwork. So yeah, I'll give you an update now, give you a few pointers if that, on setting out and stuff, if that's what you want. Here we go. You know, everyone bangs on about profiles, but I'm old school, so I just fix a batten, mark my 225 gauge going up there. Obviously plumb the batten, so you don't have to worry about plumbing that end. You just knock it tight to the batten and to your gauge mark. And then here, you can see my gauge marks there and there and there. So this one was pretty quick really, because I didn't even have to build up corners. I clamped my string on there and there, and then just filled in. I did my cuts into the steelwork, which that there like notched into the webbing there. Then when you're setting out your corners, you need to put a 100mm block in like that, staggered, which then gives you your half bond. Then I don't like using these thermal blocks, but the customer came to me after they'd had the plans and specifications drawn up, and that's what was specified on the plans. The only way to be able to use the heavier weight blocks that aren't a pain in the backside to lay is you usually have to put a wider cavity with slightly more insulation, or have insulated plasterboards dot and dabbed on the inside, which quite expensive actually, and both of them involve stealing a little bit more of the internal floor space, so people generally don't like the idea of that. That's why I've used these blocks. You know, as I said, I'm not a fan, but if they're laid correctly, they don't get all the cracking issues that have happened on all of these blocks. This was the existing house, obviously. So I've started doing my insulation. That's going to be cut out for a window. So when you're doing your insulation, you need to make sure, because the amount of building sites I go past, and they're not taped and they're just carrying on blocking up the outer leaf, is mad, to be honest, because it's got to be airtight. So all your joints are nicely butted tight together, and all your joints need to be foil taped. The ends of your boards on corners need to be foil taped. Do you know what? My OCD is so bad, this is doing my head in. The first batch of cavity bats, I had all that they had in stock, and they were manic. And then when they ordered more, the bloody Celotex. So that's driving me up the wall. I don't know why, I just can't stop thinking about it. Weird, isn't I? Yeah, so I'd probably just set you up and show me fitting this last bit round here, and then I'm going to be starting the outer block. I've got to do, if you remember that thing on the video I did on cavity trays, I've got to do that slither cut at the bottom. So yeah, where your cavity tray comes through there. Remember I said I had this little infill piece to do, but it's pretty simple. I just cut it on the table saw, and then if it needs a bit of fine adjustment, you can just run your saw on the joint to get it to fit. Just a little couple of pointers on this if you're doing it yourself. There's one, never overlook the importance of taping all your joints, because this stuff costs a flipping fortune, and the U value that it tells you it achieves won't be achieved if you don't do this process, because you're aiming to create a completely sealed envelope of your building, and if you don't tape them, they might only be tiny small gaps, but your cold air is going to get through there, so straight away you're losing thermal performance, and you're creating a possible chance of cold bridging and dew points forming on your inner skin of blockwork, which you really don't want. So just thought I'd stress the importance of that. Obviously on reveals, you've got to have your wall ties every course block. So the easiest way to get around that, obviously, because these are 450mm, which is set to 2-quarter block, is to just offer it up, mark where your wall tie is, and then just do a notch there and slide him over. Obviously on the reveals you've got your cavity closers to go in, so don't forget and go right up to your reveal and then build your brickwork on the outside, because then you'll be like, oh sugar, how am I going to cut that back now? So generally about 25mm thick they are, so I leave just over 25mm, plumb up and set out to that line, and then when I come to fix my cavity closers in, then I will spray the guts out of that with some dense expanding sticky foam, and then attach my cavity closers, and then obviously the foam then will fill any possible air gaps that might occur. Oh yeah, and if you've got lightweight block on the inside, do not, whatever you do, especially on like reveals and piers, don't go bashing it, because the next thing you know, your wall will be on the floor behind you. So watch out for that. Obviously, I got to put retaining clips back on here, and I even go to the extent of splitting the foil at this point and wrapping it around so there's not even any holes here. And don't be tempted to put your clips on first and then just tape up to the clip either side, because again, you're introducing cold air to flow through behind your insulation, and you definitely don't want that, because the amount of money this costs, and then you're not getting the full performance from it, which is what is specified on the drawings and for building regs. It's just a bit of a waste of time, really, isn't it? All that money for nothing for the sake of chucking some tape on. Yeah, very important. So that's the main boards finished up as far as I can go. A couple of things. All I've got left to do now is the little wedge piece across there, and then the return along the front of the extension. Oh yeah, some clever sausage will probably go,
ooh, fun to allow for your cavity closer there.
But no, I haven't actually, because one of my kitchen designs, the worktops are running there. So I haven't established completely what my sill height wants to be on the inside, because the quartz tops, I want the upstand to run in perfectly under the window without a notch in it. And then for a quartz sill board then to sit on top of that. So it's got a bit of fine tuning. So I'll probably end up having to cut some slips in here. So I've gone to the closest block, and I think, yeah, I might have to cut some slips in there just to get the finish height of that. The other thing I was going to say, where it butts up to the house, yeah, I like to just put squirt a load of OB1 sealant in there just to get that airtight as well. Oh yeah, and the other thing is, I would personally buy this 70 or 75 mil tape, because it's quite finicky, and if you've got a Jeremy Beadle thumb like me and you've chopped the end off, you can go a bit wrong sometimes. So with 50 mil, you might end up skewing off and then having to tape it again, so you're using twice the amount of tape. So it's probably best to spend a couple of pence extra on the wider stuff, so there's less chance of you having to do it twice and using twice as much tape. Oh yeah, and cutting, for cross cutting, I bought this saw for Thermalites. It's absolutely brilliant for that. No dust really, it just drops to the floor, doesn't spray everywhere, don't have to get a wet saw out. And if you try cutting it with a handsaw, it takes flipping ages and your blade wanders. So that's got a proper ridged back, and that never bends that, so it's perfect also, I found, for doing your cross cuts on your insulation. When I'm doing ripping, obviously I use my table saw, which is what I'm going to do now, so we'll set that up and get going on that. Oh, it's nice and straight, that, isn't it? Whoop. Right, so that's all my wedge pieces cut. So now I've got to slot them under that tie there, look, and take them all up, and then we're done, ready to do the block work on the outside. Yeah, it's that tedious little job done. It's a bit late in the day now to start a mix and start laying, so I think what I'll do is make sure all this bottom of this cavity is nice and clean. I just use my, you know, blowgun. It whishes it out. Little job he's doing, and then I think I might just have a tidy up and start loading out some blocks. I got one course of brick to do at the bottom first, and then back into normal block work then. Oh, we're getting the machines back to dig out this now. On Monday they're turning up, so that'll make a hell of a difference, won't it? So all of this will be scraped back to the right depth for our hardcore and whatever. I just want to get a few courses up where it's comfortable, just as a bit of protection in case, you know, accidents happen, don't they? Don't want to smash into it with a digger or anything like that. Good morning. Well, it's only 10 o'clock in the morning, and as you can see, I'm dripping. Sun's shining. Got the diggers back today to dig out the ground level on the outside of the building, so we can stone it all out, finally stuff all the mud, and give myself a nice platform to build the outer skin of Blockwork up on. So I'll just run through how we're going to work out, you know, our finished floor level for the outside and start digging. Apologies here, I got all carried away and forgot to film. So for now, this is the level I'm trying to achieve now, all the way back to there. My finished patio is 2 course below damp proof, where there'll be an eco drain. So our patio is going to fall towards the house into a perimeter drain, and then into the rainwater sewer around the front. I'm allowed 100mm hardcore, 50mm bed of screed for your patio, and I've just estimated about 20mm for the finished paving. I don't know what we're having yet. I'll just create the full then on the boundary wall using the stone. Right, so now we're down to level all the way around, and now I put this ramp in when we had the diggers previously because I knew I'd be having to do this little job. Now I've got to try and scrape the MOT off the top of here, and I'm going to drag it just around the perimeter, I think, of the building. We've got to cut driveway through there, dig all this out. It's going to be a bit finicky. Front stone I had here actually went quite far. I'm just waiting for my stone now. My stone turns up soon. It's Friday, man. Our stone got delivered. Started shifting it. I'll set you up on a time lapse and watch it in action. So that's the big pile of stone moved. I'm lucky today it's a Saturday and I've got my labourer, Yona Andrews, having a go on mixing a bit of concrete at the moment, and that concrete is for this little pad footing, which is another add-on, which is gonna, instead of this pitch roof here, it's gonna be a lean-to right the way across, and we're gonna have a green oak post sat in the Stellarstone. Here he is. Yeah. Right guys, we're nearly up to lintel height on the outside now. There's been a few, what's the word, add-ons, shall we say, changes to the plans. The architect's redrawing some of it, so I'll just show you where we're up to at the moment. So if you remember, this was a wall before, wasn't it? Just a wall. So we've changed the kitchen plan, which might even change again, but this part we definitely know what we want, which is fine. So I took the plunge and I've cut a window opening out. Obviously trimmed my Celotex back an inch to allow for the cavity closers. Remember I was saying I'm not sure what the sill heights are going to be because I want the granite to work with it, the quartz or whatever. So I'll work that out at the end and probably just cut some slips in. So it will be going higher, so then we'll be able to get our cavity closers in there. This, I was a bit worried about this 400 PA here, but I think it's going to be fine because we've ordered a big 4050 extra heavy duty cavity lintel to go across the top of the lot rather than having two sharing that pier. And then once it's fully blocked on the outside with the solid blocks and it's bedded under the lintel as well, that should keep the strength of it. And obviously the weight of the roof stops it from wobbling when it goes on, so not concerned about that. What was the other change? So originally this at the front is going to have a bastard hip up to the corner there. It was meant to be another bastard hip on the back end, but I think they want a wood burner and it just was causing trouble, and I don't think it'll look out of place. I think it was only put there to match this one, so I think we're doing a gable end there instead. This was meant to run into that valley and I was going to cut a new valley in there, so that was awful. But now we've decided to take this off completely because with the extra heavy duty lintel, it's got a high upstand in the cavity where the insulation is, so it's really annoying to do the rafter cuts around that. So this is what happens when plans change, it throws everything. But so what I'm going to do, we're having cedral cladding now on the top half of the building, which means I can go a bit higher with this roof to make the pitch a bit steeper. I'm gonna take that roof off, continue that lean-to roof all the way across here to here, and it's gonna end at the end of the house here, and this bit will be a sheltered bit for the car charger, a patio slabs here, eco drain for the runoff for the water for the drive, and then there'll be that's the foot input in to take the there'll be a saddle stone with the green oak posts, the wind braces that way, and a beam to support the roof then, and a truss on the end, like an angled truss on the end. So that's going to be nice to do. I'll do all that on site and that'll be make a good video. Yeah, this weird window with the design I've done, I wanted to incorporate a seating area, probably going to be a built-in seating area across here, like in a pub, like a pub snug, and then that would form a window seat then going in with a sliding sash window so that they can look out with a nice cup of coffee at that lovely cedar fence and wall. So I thought that was a pretty cool idea. I'm just laying the last two courses up to lintel height. It's a bit annoying, but we can get round it. That angle on there, I mocked that up in real life with timber and a dummy rafter to get exactly, because it specified 6x2, so that exactly was the angle of the roof, the original roof, but now it's going to be steeper, so that's all pointless now. And then this section here that will be exposed in the room. Obviously, we need to protect cold bridging around that, so it'll probably get wrapped in insulation, and we'll probably pick up the green oak detail from over there and introduce it into the house so it looks like a green oak beam. Probably have to, well, I will have to do it out of like inch normal oak, kiln dried oak, and then sort of mitre it round, glue it, and then maybe do a stop chamfer or something to make it look like the posts in the front of the house. So that's the plan for that. So yeah, I'll stick you on a time lapse now and start laying these last couple of courses of block.